Hi, I'm Martha Pastcan. I'm part of the Conrey Library Committee, and unfortunately, our books for Passover are not able to be checked out. So I'm going to read you Sammy Spider's First Passover by Sylvia Ruas. Sammy Spider was fast asleep in his web high up in the Shapiro's living room ceiling. As a warm spring sun shone through the open window, Sammy snuggled deeper into his cozy web. Sudden whisking noise startled him awake. "Mother," he screamed, "a monster has broken our web." Sammy scurried across the ceiling and hid in a corner. Mrs. Spider hurried to comfort him. "Don't worry, Sammy. That monster is called a broom, and Mr. Shapiro is using it to dust the ceiling." Each spring, the Shapiros gave their house a special cleaning to prepare for Passover. "Springtime is a perfect time for us to make a new web." "I don't know how to make a web," Sammy said sadly. "I'm going to teach you," said his mother, giving him a big hug. "Will we celebrate Passover too?" asked Sammy. "Silly little Sammy," laughed Mrs. Spider. "Spiders don't celebrate Passover. Spiders spin webs." He began to spin one thread. Then he spun a second and a third. Finally, he spun a fourth to make a square. "It's called a matzah," Mrs. Spider replied. "Tonight is the first night of Passover, and the Shapiros will have a special meal called a Seder." Then Mrs. Shapiro brought in a big platter with roasted egg, bone, parsley, haroshets, and bitter herbs. "That's called a Seder plate," Mrs. Spider explained. "The Shapiros will eat special foods at their Seder." "Do spiders eat special foods for Passover?" asked Sammy. "Silly little Sammy," answered the mother. "Spiders don't celebrate Passover. Spiders eat flies and other insects. To catch them, we spin a web, and I need your help. Watch me spin a circle." But Sammy wasn't listening. He was hovering on a silky strand above the table, watching the Shapiros at their Seder. Crunch went the matzah, and Mr. Shapiro broke it in half. Sammy watched him wrap it in one of the broken pieces in a bright red napkin. When Sammy wasn't looking, Mr. Shapiro had it on top of the bookcase. Sammy climbed back up to the ceiling. "Mother," he said, "why did Mr. Shapiro hide the matzah?" "It's called the afikoman," Mrs. Shapiro answered. "After the meal, Josh will try to find it. If he does, he will get a prize." "What fun," Sammy said. "Can I play too?" "Silly little Sammy," said his mother. "Spiders don't celebrate Passover. Spiders spin webs, and I really need your help to spin a third triangle inside the web." To spin a triangle inside the web. But Sammy wasn't listening. He looked longingly at the hidden afikoman. "All right," sighed Mrs. Spider. "You may watch the Seder for a while." Sammy quickly crossed the ceiling and stopped right above the bookcase as Josh finished reciting the 4 questions. He listened as the family sang Passover songs and took turns reading the story of Moses, who led the Jews to freedom. The Shapiros began their Seder meal. Sammy had never seen so much food. Matzo ball soup, salad, turkey. At last it was time to search for the afikoman. Sammy wished he could help, but he remembered his mother's words. Spiders don't celebrate Passover. Spiders swinging from a strand of webbing. He watched Josh searching everywhere in the room for the afikoman, under the rug, clock, under the cat. When Josh neared the bookcase, Sammy got excited. Something shiny caught Josh's eye. It was an amazing little web with a beautiful Jewish star inside. "Wow!" breathed Josh. As he went closer, he looked and he spotted the afikoman just below the glistening web. "Wow, I found it!" he shrieked. Sammy glowed with pride. I did it, Mother. I helped Josh find the afikoman. And you also spun a beautiful web, Mrs. Spider answered. You used all the shapes I taught you. In his excitement, Sammy didn't even know that he had spun a web. As he looked back at the bookshelf, he beamed. It was easy, Mother. You make a square and a circle and a triangle. Then you pass over with another triangle. That's how spiders celebrate Passover.